Well, hello there. Welcome to Senior Travel Adventures. I am excited because today I have with me Bob Schmalle, and we go way back. We actually went to college together a long time ago, and Bob is a wonderful photographer and a professor at Fresno City College. And I've been looking at his pictures online for many years, and so when I saw his latest batch from Switzerland, I contacted him to be on my show. So, hi, Bob. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, you do quite a bit of travel too, right?
I do. At least 2 or 3 times a year, I try and get away to go someplace distant.
Distant. Well, let's see. I've seen quite a few of your pictures, so I know you've gone to some really great places. So tell me a little bit. I actually just came back from Switzerland, so that also made me interested in all these wonderful shots that you took. So
Yeah, so I just came back from Switzerland a week ago. I spent 2 weeks in a area called the Jungfrau region.
okay.
In and around a city called Interlaken, taking pictures up in the Alps and around Interlaken, around a nearby city called Thun,
Thun. Okay.
and lakes up in the area and that sort of thing.
All right. So, looking at some of these pictures right now, I see this Lauterbronn. Is that
Lauterbrunnen.
Lauterbrunnen, and that looks just like something out of a movie.
So Lauterbrunnen is a valley with sheer cliffs on two sides going up to about 8,000 feet. Lauterbrunnen itself, I think, is about 2,500. And so there are some amazing shots. There are waterfalls falling into the valley. And so it's a great, I actually spent about 2 days there shooting.
I was obviously the thing that I think most of us here in the U.S. think of is the movie Heidi, and The Sound of Music. When you think about these beautiful shots and things. Now you're a skier, but you didn't get to go skiing there, right?
No, I actually thought about it. There was skiing way high up off the glacier at an area called Jungfrau Jack, which I actually have a picture of. But I didn't do it.
So when you did get there, though, was there still a lot of snow, though, in the Alps? I mean, not on the
so
ground.
they had actually had a late snow. Actually, they had more snow than I was planning. There were places I wanted to go that I actually couldn't go because there was too much snow. They had actually had a late snow that year, and so there was a lot more snow. There was one lake I went to where I was planning on shooting higher up than I did, and I couldn't get there because there was an avalanche warning in that area. So,
Oh my goodness, my goodness.
I took lower shots.
Wow.
Yeah, so at the higher elevations, pretty much from about 8,000 feet up, there was still a lot of snow. Well, if you want to see a good example of that, you could go to Lauterbrunnen halfway up.
Okay.
It gives a good example of where the snow starts.
Okay.
Down in the valley in Lauterbrunnen, it's virtually straight ahead spring. But then if you look at the mountains in the background there, beginning about 8,000 feet, and they go up to about 12,000.
Okay.
It's snow covered.
Okay. So, one of the things. So, how far is like Interlaken and those places from Zurich? About an hour?
2 hours.
2 hours?
Interlaken's 2 hours.
Okay.
You can do a day trip from Zurich, or you could stay in Interlaken and make a day trip to Zurich or Bern, or my wife and I actually went to Montrose for a day.
Okay. Well, I really did love Switzerland, but it's a little pricey there, I gotta say. The Swiss franc is not as good to the dollar as some places. In fact, one of the tours I was on, the bus driver or the tour guide told us that a lot of the people who live in Zurich and some of the small villages, they actually go to Germany to shop because it's less expensive. But there is nothing like seeing it for yourself. I mean, and that's kind of the thing that I think about all the places in the world. You know, you can see the pictures, and your pictures do My pictures don't do this justice like yours do, but I try. Yeah. So let's talk about a few other things while you're here with me. Let's, because Zurich was and Switzerland, these are beautiful pictures that we're showing right now, but you've got so many other things. So tell me a little bit about some of these other things. You went to Paris. When was that?
Oh, gosh, the last time I was in Paris was probably 7, 8 years ago. I've been there a number of times shooting photos. Like I said, I mean, every summer I try and get away.
Yeah.
Usually to Europe, although I've gone different places. I went to Dubai
Yeah,
one
that's
time.
beautiful. That we'll show that on the screen.
And then I've also I went to China. That was an interesting trip. The shot of the Arc de Triomphe, that was an interesting shot. I actually had to stand out in the middle of the street for about. Well, there were a couple of other photographers with me, so we all braved it. If you look at the shot, we've got cars racing by us on all sides.
Yeah.
But we got, there was this great shot with the sun going down and the flag hanging down from the top of the Arc de Triomphe.
That's
it was a really beautiful shot, so we decided to risk it and just stand there. And nobody kicked us out, so it worked out well.
No gendarme came and said, get the heck out of here, because, they're always there. So you went to Venice, Rome, actually Iceland. When did you go to Iceland? Because I just was there last December, and I saw the Northern Lights 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, so I was in Iceland 5 years ago, as it was. I did... my wife wasn't interested in going to Iceland, so I went to Iceland for a week to shoot photos, and I met her in Paris.
Okay.
So, and so if you look at that one shot, that's a Kirkjufell, I think. It's actually an extinct volcano on the north side of the island. It actually takes you about 4 hours to drive there. And that picture was actually taken at about 12:30 at night.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I know.
But it was daytime.
Right. When I was there in December... It never even felt like it got really light. About 11:30 in the morning, the sun was coming up, which looked like our sunset. And then by 4 o'clock, the sun was gone.
Right.
So that would be the only thing I would tell people about going at that time of year is your daylight is really minimal. But everything we saw was so beautiful. I'm actually going to be in Banff in about a month.
Okay.
I'm going on the Rocky Mountaineer Railroad and going to Banff, and that's going to be my first time there. We'll show Banff up on the screen. You've got Italy, the Dolomites. I interviewed a gentleman on my show a couple episodes ago, and that's his next trip, is he wants to go see the Dolomites. We're going to show Austria, and we're putting those up for you. And then Cinque Terre, I told all my fans that I would curate a trip. So in April of 2025, there's a Tuscany and a Florence trip, and we're going to take a day trip to Cinque Terre.
Yeah, Italy's actually one of my most favorite places to go. There's just a lot of varied areas. I mean, in the main part of Italy, I mean, you've got Florence, you've got Rome, you've got Cinque Terre, and then when you go north, obviously you got Venice. But then once you get above Venice, you've got the Italian Alps. So if you look at that picture of Val di Funes, that's a beautiful little valley up in the Alps there with that chapel right in the middle. It's just there are gorgeous scenes like that all over.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're still going to talk to Bob, but we're going to talk to Bob about In Our Backyard and his photography. So stay tuned. We're back, and as mentioned, we're going to talk some more with Bob about the pictures that he's taken around California, because there is so much beauty right here in our own backyard. So some of your Yosemite shots, Bob, have just been spectacular, I have to say. Do you go there often to take pictures since it's so close?
I have at certain times. I done less lately, but it's one of the easiest places to go where you can get essentially world-class shots. And there's so many. I've got a few that are that I've incorporated here. I mean, if you look at the one with the chapel in the valley.
That's
That's
a beautiful.
actually, people seem to think that's one of their favorite shots that I've taken. I had to wade out in essentially practically waist deep snow
Oh my goodness.
out in the middle of the meadow on that one to get that shot. So it was an interesting experience. And then, another one of people's favorites is I've got
The
the
tree.
tree. It's a famous oak tree in Cook's Meadow. I think it's been in a couple of Ansel Adams pictures. I was there early in the morning, and I happened to catch the tree with the sun shining through it. So it looks like it's on fire, and then you've got the half dome in the background. So it was a great shot to get.
I think that's just spectacular too. I mean, all of them have been really, really well done. Have you ever been able to get that horseshoe with the sunset coming
No,
through
I
it yet?
haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's so popular. So, I wanted to just segue because we're showing all these beautiful, beautiful shots that you have. The San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, and I think there's one here we're going to show of Los Angeles. I think I saw
Yeah,
that
it's
one.
the mine's
Griffith?
going blank here. Griffith Observatory.
Yes, yes.
So that if you're interested in getting that shot,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a little tricky. You need to go in there. You need to go there in the fall and the spring because
Mm-hmm.
the parking lot you're going to park at closes down at 9 o'clock. And so if you go there in the summer, it's about an hour hike to where I took that shot. So you wouldn't make it back to your car, and the cops are pretty
Yeah.
ticklish on tagging people that stay longer than 9. But if you go in the fall or even in the winter, since it's warm in Los Angeles, you can
Yeah.
shoot nighttime shots like that.
Yeah, yeah. LA, there's areas that you definitely like. Griffith Park is there's a lot of fun stuff there. The observatory, by all means, while we're talking of in your backyard stuff, the Griffith Observatory is spectacular. The Getty Museum
Yeah.
in that's right there in West LA. That one has some incredible views and vistas if you get it at the right time. One thing I wanted to ask you about is, I said at the beginning of the show that, we've known each other from college from a way back but when did you get involved with photography and how did you fall in love and do such a great
That's
job?
actually a very interesting story. So about 12 years ago, my house got robbed.
Oh,
And I had some cheap photo equipment along with some other stuff. But the insurance payment came in for the stuff I needed done. And I thought, well, I always thought about buying a nice camera. And so
there
I
you
bought
go.
a nice camera and started taking shots. And it's been interesting. I've gained some popularity more than I thought I ever would. I've had photos in the National Geographic European travel magazine called, what is it? VJ, I think is what it's called. It's the Spanish word for travel, and I can't remember what it is. Plus, I've had articles written about me in a couple of international photo magazines. So it's been an interesting situation. And the one thing I really love to do is take photos when I'm traveling somewhere. So it's worked out well.
Well, yeah, it kind of combines two really important, enjoyable hobbies, more or less. But your hobby, photography, so people can go online though and buy your pictures,
They
right?
can. It's on
Right.
robertschmalle.com.
We'll put that up at the end, so
Yeah,
if people are
I've
interested.
got an entire website.
Okay, great. Because there's some absolutely spectacular pictures, not just the ones we've shown here on the show, but if you go to Bob's website, I think you're going to just your mouth will be open going, wow, wow, wow. And yes, sometimes there is some photoshopping involved, but every photographer does that. It's funny because a lot of people like myself, I take pictures with my phone. I used to have a smaller, not as nice camera, but I thought, why am I doing this? Why am my pictures on my iPhone are coming out pretty good, but not always.
iPhones are pretty good. I mean, if you're just a casual photographer, they can do a good job. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't always want to carry around my big, what they would call a professional camera. It's just a nice camera.
Right.
And so I use my Galaxy phone quite a bit to take shots. and you were talking about Photoshop. I mean, you can still do a lot with just your iPhone or your Galaxy phone. You can still do a lot with post-processing to make them look really nice.
Right. And I've tried on mine, but mine never have come out anywhere close to what these look like. So I have to say that this does bode well for getting a professional camera. But like you said, I don't like to travel that heavy. So for me, having just the phone, I'll just pull it out and take it. But when you're going somewhere to take pictures, obviously you want the best equipment you can bring.
Well, yeah, and if you're interested in doing something like that, I would certainly recommend that you go talk to a good professional at a local camera store. There are some good entry level cameras you can get into for not a lot of money, and they very well may have classes at your local camera store,
right?
Where they can show you how to work it, and you probably would want to get up on some post-processing stuff too to make it look as good as you can.
Yeah, that's where I'm spending a little time right now, learning a little more about editing and all that fun stuff. It's fun to film, but you got to do something with it afterwards. So, all right. Well, another thing I just wanted to mention, one more thing. Bob is multi-talented because he also is a musician. So
I do. I do play. I was a professional musician from age 18 to about age 24. And then I decided to go back to school and become a lawyer. So I'm a lawyer and now a college professor.
Yeah,
and I still play on the side.
All right. Well, watch for Bob around town here. And, if you're listening in the Central Valley, because this is going to play in several locations. But if you're local to Central Valley, we'll see when Bob's going to play next, because he is a really good musician. And I've enjoyed seeing him out there. So I really appreciate you coming today and taking time out of your busy day to join me. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All righty. And we'll be right back.